Hello, people of the world. My name is Mark, and I'm a regular guy. I live in New York City, I go to high school, and I play sports. There is something, however, that sets me off from the rest. I travel, and I travel a lot. By 2015, I've been to over 20 countries, and I know not everyone gets to travel as much as I do. But that's exactly why I want to share my experiences with all of you, giving some tips on where to go and what to do along the way. Today we're going to talk about my trip to Morocco. It's a country in Africa that is probably best known for a city called Casablanca, which is where a very famous old movie took place, even though the movie itself was filmed in Hollywood, not Africa. But enough about that. Without further ado, let's get started. We flew in with Royal Morocco, which even though it had some really bad reviews, it wasn't as bad as we thought, and nearly not as bad as some other American airlines, but we're not going to point any fingers, right? We arrived in Casablanca's airport, and we drove to Rabat. We checked into a hotel, but quickly left it and wandered around the city. We walked to the Medina, which, according to Google, is the old Arab or non-European quarter of a North African town. And we didn't go too deep into it, but we took the two main alleys, and there were many bizarre stalls like you would expect in an Arabic town. We then went to the Kudaya Kasbah and had a local guide who wasn't too informative, but he didn't let us get lost, which was a big plus. And there was also a really nice Andalusian garden with a bunch of greens and grasses and plants. We then went into a restaurant on the river with Italian food and ran back to the hotel, and it was raining pretty bad. We then stopped by the Museum of Archaeology, which was a pain to find and was really small and unimpressive. After that, we just ran back to the hotel and slumped. The next day, we woke up really early, at 8 o'clock. And we planned to go into the royal palace. The only problem is that they didn't let us go inside, and only let us onto the territory, which was still pretty good, but not the same as going inside, of course. We then drove over to the ruins of Chela, which had Roman and Islamic ruins, which made it pretty unique. And there were also storks everywhere because it was their mating season, and they were just flying above our heads, and to the left and to the right, that's all you could see. We then drove over to the Hassan Tower and Mausoleum, which had colorful guards on horses, but they got really mad if you tried to take a picture with them. After that, we went back to the Kudaya Kasbah, and after that, just ate in the city of Mankiz for lunch. After that, we drove to the Roman city of Volubilis, and finally arrived in a hotel in Fez, which was our next destination. We spent the next day exploring Fez under very terrible weather. We were brought to the top viewing point in the city, but it was raining too hard to see anything. After that, we walked through the Medina, the old town, and there were a lot of small narrow alleys and it looked really poor and old. But the old looking houses actually had really ornate carvings and luxurious carpets and mosaic inside. After exploring that for a bit, we were brought to a tannery, or a leather shop, and the smell was absolutely terrible. It was so bad that they had to give you mint to make sure that you don't practically die from the smell. What really surprised me actually was how colorful all the leather was, because they had it all spread out outside, and there were so many different shades of greens and blues and yellows and reds. After that, we were brought to a carpet demonstration where they showed us many different carpets for sale, and some people bought them, some other people didn't, but in the end it was really pretty. After that demonstration, we ate at a traditional Moroccan restaurant, which was okay. It wasn't bad. After that, we walked through alleys full of vendors trying to sell their products, and they wouldn't stop bothering us. And finally, we stopped by a Jewish cemetery and a royal palace, which had a big, nice golden gate. The fourth day was spent driving from Fez to Marrakesh through the Atlas Mountains, which are absolutely enormous and really high up. We spent a lot of time in the car, or the bus, and what really surprised me is the fact that even though we were in Africa, the entire mountain was covered in snow, so you wouldn't be able to tell where you are if you just plopped straight into the middle of the Atlas Mountains. You'd probably think you're in some country in Europe during the winter, not in Morocco during February. We spent the fifth day in Marrakesh. The main attraction was the Gemma El Fna Square. After that, we went to the Kououbia Minaret and then the Bahia Palace. We were brought into a spice shop where there was a demonstration of many different spices, and everyone ended up buying tons of them. Just absolute tons. After the spice shop, we went to the Marrakesh Medina, which is a huge bazaar or market with streets of vendors selling their products, and it was absolutely overwhelming. There were artists, performers, scam artists, beggars, vendors, and snake charmers. I actually have a funny story about the snake charmers where we were really interested in, we've never seen this before. So we came up to some and immediately they wanted us to pay them, right? But we didn't want to pay them as much. So they essentially ended up putting a huge snake around my neck without my permission and tried to overcharge us, but we refused and essentially just ran away. So, some words of wisdom: if you're gonna try to come up to these scam artists or snake charmers or whatever you want to call them, just be careful and don't do what we did. On the sixth day, we started with a 3-hour drive from Marrakesh to Casablanca. After we arrived there, we went to the Hassan II Mosque, which was incredible. It had a retractable roof and a 25,000 person capacity. It was also located on the seaside, so it was absolutely gorgeous. After that, we visited the Mohammed V Square, which had almost as many pigeons as New York, which, take it from me, that's a lot. Finally, we ended up our trip with a nice dinner with the entire tour group and our friends and family, and it was very nice. I really enjoyed the trip. And after that, we just went back to the hotel, fell asleep. The morning after, we woke up, drove to the airport, and flew off. And on that, today's adventure comes to a close. This is my first episode, so I'm not really sure how everything goes, and I'd love to have some feedback, so let me know whatever you think in the comments below, if you're down there, in the down there. And if you really like the video, like it, or even subscribe if you really loved it, and check out my new video, which should be coming out pretty soon, maybe, hopefully, within some time. Alright, I'll see you guys around. Thanks for watching.